A-60. You know it, I know it. It's one of those entities that is just everywhere. Think about it. I mean, it's indoors, pressure, rooms indoors, basically every other rooms game ever made. But I think there's more to this entity than most people think. So in this video, I'm going to share what I think the truth is behind A-60, about how A-60 connects rooms, doors, and pressure all together. To start, why is A-60 even important? Well, A-60, also called the Multi-Monster, was the first entity created for a game called Rooms, which later inspired the game we all know and love now, Doors. Now, at first, this entity might not seem all that significant, just easily memorable, but there's a lot of reasons that prove otherwise. First off, this entity is kept quite secret in both of the main games it's in. In Doors, A-60 can only be found in the room subfloor, which is canonically difficult to get to. Even Curious Light says this in one of its dialogues. I'm surprised he found this place. It's quite difficult to get here last time I checked. To get to the rooms, you must have 2 lockpicks and a skeleton key, and must enter through a secret door at room 60. So to even get to the place to encounter A-60 is already quite difficult. This is the same in the other big game A-60 exists in, Pressure. Here, A-60 has an extremely low chance to spawn at any point during your run. Now this on its own isn't that important, but it really starts getting interesting when we take a look at A-60's document in Pressure. When you die to an entity in Pressure, Sebastian gives you a document that you can read that gives you information about the entity you encountered. Documents about obscure entities can also be found in rare rooms. However, when you find A-60's document, almost the entire document is redacted. Most documents within the game have redacted text that can be read if a player dies to that entity enough times. But with A-60's document, no matter how many times you die to the entity, none of the redacted text disappears. There's even a notice on the document that isn't present on any other that reads, "Notice, this document is to never be unredacted." At the bottom of A-60's document, it also says something that no other document in the game says. Usually at the bottom of every document, it says, if these documents are shown to unauthorized personnel, you'll be put up for demotion and any cover-up fees will be sent to your relatives. However, A-60's document reads, if this document is shown to anyone, your relatives will be detained and executed in front of you, after which you'll be demoted to LRP. So yeah, Urban Shade really doesn't want anyone knowing about A-60, but it's not just them. It also seems like A-60 is being hidden indoors. When the content update released, the Red Mist achievement was added for crucifying A-60, but its description was off. Every other achievement has a somewhat normal description relating to the achievement you got, but Red Mist description reads, "Don't ask who A-60 is," in all caps. Something is going on here. Why is the identity of A-60 so secret in both Doors and Pressure? Well, I think I might have an answer for that. You see, all of but one of Pressure's entities share one common thing. Their name starts with a Z and then is followed by a 3-digit number. They also have a code name, which explains why no one calls these entities by their number. For example, Z367 is just referred to as Pandemonium. No one's gonna call it Z367. But why is this Z so important? Well, if you think about it, Z is last in the alphabet, and Pressure is one of the last popular games created that takes inspiration from Doors. You see, all entities from the rooms are labeled with an A, followed by a 2 to 3 digit number, and I think that's because Rooms came first. Think about it, Doors was created with inspiration from Rooms, and Pressure was created with inspiration from Doors. The release date directly corresponds to the letter before the entities' names. This also proves that A-60 was the first entity in every Rooms-inspired game. Not Rush, not the Angler, A-60. A-60 was the very first. I can further prove this because there's one entity from Pressure that doesn't have a Z before its number, and that entity is the Redeemer, from a collab with a game called Decaying Winter. This entity has a D before its number, being officially named D227, and coincidentally, Decaying Winter released after Rooms but before Pressure, and that matches my alphabet theory. First the Rooms, then Decaying Winter, then Pressure. But what am I getting at here? Yeah, sure, it's cool that the letter in different entities' names corresponds to the release date of that game the entity's from, but why does this all matter? Well, this is because I believe that A-60 connects everything. That's right, Doors, Pressure, and Rooms all get connected from this one entity. Let me explain. From a lore perspective, I think that the rooms were a trial designed to test players' endurance. After all, why else would an infinite number of office rooms be created? There's just no practical use for them. And yes, there are an infinite amount of rooms, not just 1,000, in the original Rooms game. When the rooms were created, there had to be some kind of challenge for those participating in the trials. And this is where the entities come in. A-60 was the first entity added to the rooms, but I believe that it was added almost on accident. You see, A-60 takes the form of a glitchy, distorted red figure, something that wouldn't just occur naturally. This leads me to believe that A-60 was some kind of failed experiment, and the creator of the rooms negotiated with the scientists who experimented on A-60 to add it to the trial of the rooms. When A-60 was implemented into the rooms, this experiment of a trial became popular as people would sign up thinking there would be a reward at the end. It is unknown whether or not the creators of the trials would gain something from having people sign up, but they must have, as there's no other reason for them to create the rooms. Once people started signing up to wander the rooms, people then began working on more polished trials similar to the rooms. After all, the rooms were still in a very developmental stage. The first of these new and improved trials was the hotel from Doors. We know that the hotel was the second trial due to its release date being right after rooms. Most people can infer that the Doors Hotel was once just a regular hotel, and then suddenly got abandoned and infested with entities. However, it's unknown why these entities were even placed in this hotel. However, we do have some kind of an explanation. If you know Doors lore, you know that the third architect, or Light, usually referred to as Mischievous Light, is thought to have been the one to have created the entities. This might not be 100% true, but there isn't really a better answer canonically, so Mischievous Light saw an opportunity to run an improved version of the rooms, a new trial, and decided to add many different entities to an abandoned hotel. Again, just like the creators of the rooms, Mischievous Light must have gained something from creating the hotel trial, as otherwise there would be no point. If you remember what I said earlier, I believe that A-60 and the rooms in general connects many different Roblox horror games together. This is supported by the fact that a portal to the rooms was placed in the hotel by Curious Light. They likely did this to preserve the connection between the first trial, the rooms, and the new trial, the hotel. Why they would want to create a connection between the two trials is unclear, but we can best assume that Curious Light wanted dedicated players to be able to return to the first trial, now that they have more experience. The rooms was also changed by Curious Light to have an exit back to the hotel at room A1000. There was also an official reward for completing the rooms, the Barrel of Starlight, to give people a reason to participate in the trials. This must mean the Curious Light must gain something, just like the creator of the rooms and Mischievous Light, from having players go back and complete the rooms, as there is no other reason why Curious Light would spend all that time leading players to the rooms. After the hotel was created, the third and final main trial would take place, mostly by accident. In the Black Site, a research lab developed by Urban Shade, Sebastian went around unleashing a bunch of entities that were being studied from their cells. Sebastian did this to get revenge for what Urban Shade did to him. In case you don't know, Sebastian was falsely charged for murder and was unfairly experimented on. One of the entities that Sebastian released was in fact A-60 itself, as it can be encountered in the Black Site. That must have meant that A-60 was already taken from the rooms by Urban Shade to be studied. Because of this, we can infer that the Black Site wanted to connect itself to the rooms in some way. Hey, future me here. I forgot to mention this, but the achievement for surviving A-60 in Pressure is literally called High Again, so this further supports what I was saying earlier about Pressure wanting to connect itself with the rooms. Believe it or not, it actually does this in more than one way than just by experimenting on A-60. You see, rarely these rooms-themed rooms will spawn in the Black Site. These rooms look exactly like the first door of the rooms, and even have a gummy light, a rare item that can be purchased at the start of the rooms. However, that's not all. There's still one last item in the secret rooms-themed room. That's a lot of rooms. And that item is A-60's document. That's right, the document that I mentioned earlier is found in this very room. I believe that this room was taken straight from the actual rooms, and that Urban Shade wanted to study everything that was in the rooms, even down to the architecture. However, Mr. Shade and the Black Site employees did not want anyone finding this room and the truth about the trials, hence why this room is so rare and why A-60 is so heavily guarded. Expendables, or players, are encouraged to explore the Black Site in an attempt to retrieve the crystal, with their freedom being the reward for completing the trial, and Urban Shade couldn't let their precious expendables stray too far from their task. Or at least that's what we think. No one truly knows the reason as to why A-60 is being so heavily guarded. It could be that Mr. Shade just didn't want the expendables to get off task, or it could be something much deeper, but right now that's unclear. So the truth behind A-60 was covered as tightly as possible across many different games, but now you at least know some of it. Again, there's still many holes in what we know about why A-60 is being kept so secretive, and about this theory in general, but we at least know this. A-60 was what caused the success of the Rooms trial, and not only connects both Doors and Pressure canonically, but also actually inspired many of the entities in both Doors and Pressure. But hey, that's just a theory. A Doors theory. Thank you for watching.